presiding. This trial is now nothing. The prosecution has provided ample evidence to place the crime squarely on the shoulders of the accused. The murder weapon, a pair of blood-stained brass shears, has been presented to the court.
I wouldn't say they're big enough to be classed as brass.
Complete with a label proclaiming them to be the property of Bill Williams.
More pruning shears than anything.
Moreover, we have been presented with footage from closed-circuit television from cameras installed in the victim's home. The tapes show footage of the accused entering the property just moments before time of death.
Head shores? Nail clippers?
And we have heard testimony from several eyewitnesses, the coroner's report and a psychological evaluation of the accused.
Secateurs!
Mr. Green, I am bound by law to offer you one final chance to defend your client. I do feel compelled to remind you that if you don't, we will all go home approximately 9 minutes early. Mr. Green?
Yes? Oh, right, the trial, right, yes, I do think so, actually. Mr. Williams, Bill, the murderer. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, there can be no doubt that my client, Bill Williamson, did definitely murder his client with a pair of gardening shears. But be that as it may.
Objection.
Well,
He just called his client the murderer.
isn't that precisely what you've been doing for the past 48 hours?
Oh gosh, where was I? Right, Mr. Williamson, Bill, the murderer.
You were just about to say, wait, it's fine, I committed that murder.
Thanks. Regardless of whatever evidence or testimony my erstwhile colleague has been able to produce, the crux of the matter is that while we may say that my client did definitely stab his neighbour with a bladed object,
It was more of a cut than a stab, really.
the circumstances which led to this brutal
And gratuitous. And bloody.
The circumstances which led to this brutal, gratuitous, and bloody cutting were completely outside of my client's control. Why did you stab your neighbour, Mr. Williamson?
Well, a number of reasons, really. You can hear all of them.
No, just one more. You know, the one. Trombone one.
No, he wasn't very good, was he?
Exactly. The trombone. His trombone playing annoyed you, so you stabbed him with gardening.
Yes, exactly.
Objection.
Come on now.
Sorry. Objection.
Well,
I hardly see how the trombone is relevant.
how is it relevant?
Well, I was just getting to that. Actually, I think I've just gotten to it. I'd like to call my first witness, if that's all right.
It's certainly all right with me. Do you have any objections?
No.
Calling Doris Shearer to the stand, please. Doris.
You can do it.
Now, Mrs. Shearer, could you please tell the court exactly what your relationship is with your son? Could you please tell the court exactly how it is you're related to the victim?
To Alan? Well, he's my son.
Aha! And did your son happen to play any instruments at all?
Sorry, you'll have to speak up, dear. My ears aren't what they used to be.
Instruments! Instruments!
Oh, yes. Oh, Alan loved his trombone. He wasn't very good, but he did play it an awful lot.
I will say.
Oh! Did you know my Alan?
Not particularly, no.
Oh,
Now, Mrs. Shearer, when Alan was a boy, did he pick up the trombone by himself, or did you pressure him?
He hated it at first. Wouldn't play at it at all. We had to nag him constantly.
Excellent. So you see, had Alan's parents not pressured him, he would never have learned the trombone, let alone carried it on into a later life. Why is she still there? You're not really needed anymore.
Objection! Mrs. Shearer, I'm objectifying you. Objection! Mrs. Shearer! Sorry, did you say something, dear?
Well, it's just I should have a chance to cross-examine you.
Would you speak up, dear?
I should have a chance to cross-examine her. Well, do you have anything to ask her?
No.
Right, the trial, yes. Okay, the trial, yes. So, Mr. Shearer, Alan, the corpse. He would never have learned the trombone had his parents not pressured him. Had he never learned the trombone, then he would never have found himself impaled on the end of Mr. Williamson's latest purchase from Homebase.
Being cute.
Surely, then, we should be holding Mr. Shearer's parents responsible. After all, it was their actions which led to the decision that my client made. Shouldn't we clap the parents in irons as well?
Objection.
And if not, why not? If my client is held culpable for what he has done, then should that culpability stretch to everyone who is responsible for that murder?
No. Come now. While you're under my roof, you can abide by my rules.
Jesus. Objection. No. I'm just being preposterous. Sure, if Mr. Williamson had not been bothered by Mr. Shearer's trombone playing, then he may not have felt compelled to steal out in the middle of the night and running through with some secateurs.
It's almost as if you're not listening to me. It was a cut, not a stab.
Mr. Shearer had no way of knowing that their decision to pressure their son into taking up the trombone would lead to his death. Mr. Williamson, however, was fully aware of the consequences of his actions when he went to fatally prune his neighbour.
Do it like that. The fatal pruning. Well done.
Quite so. And yet, despite his cleverness, Mr. Williamson didn't have the capacity to make any other choice.
See, Miss Anderson. Objection. But we've seen the psychological profile of the accused already. While it is clear Mr. Williamson is perhaps not all here,
Oh gosh. Where else am I? Somewhere nice, I hope.
he still has control of his mental faculties. He's still responsible for his actions.
Quite so, and yet I was driving at a rather different point. You see, the influence of Mr. and Mrs. Shearer on their son was only one of many causes which led to their son's eventual death. You see, from birth, Mr. Williamson has had a plethora of different experiences and experienced a wide variety of different things. These experiences have shaped who he has become and changed the way he thinks and the way he acts. In fact, 1 second, please. Who said that? In the same way that we cannot say that Mr. and Mrs. Shearer could have predicted that their influence to make their son learn the trombone would result in this terrible ending, nor can we say that Mr. Williamson was aware of what these myriad different influences would cause him to do. We are to hold my client responsible. We must hold his parent.
You keep mentioning these myriad influences, yet you haven't told us what they are.
They're everything that has ever happened to the defendant throughout his entire life. Everything that happens to us in some way influences everything we do. And this extends to all of us. Why did you ask me that question?
Sorry.
Just now. Why did you ask me to clarify my point?
Because you're being idiotic.
Please, Miss Anderson, is it?
Yes.
Can you not answer my question without resorting to ad hominem attacks?
What does that pop it on me?
Very well. I asked the question because I thought your argument lacked substance. And because of the prosecution, it's my job to make sure a guilty man is not guilty.
It's a legal term. It means she's attacked him personally rather than attacking his argument.
So your role in this trial is dictated by the fact that you became a lawyer. That decision was made years ago, and at the time you had no idea what influence that would have on anything you said during this court case.
That's because I assumed I would have to argue against a sixth form philosophy lecture.
Oh, please, there is no need for that kind of attack.
I mean, why don't we take this whole argument to its logical conclusion, then? The decision my parents made to have a child is surely the root cause of all of my decisions. If I'd never been conceived, then I would have never been able to act, make decisions, and influence others. Similarly, the existence of my parents is predicated on the decision of my grandparents to have children. Where does it end? Should I trace it back through my ancestors to proteins bobbing around in primordial ooze? Where then? To the molecules and the atoms that they're made up of? To the singularity at the beginning of time? The Big Bang? Yeah, that's it. Let's just lock up the Big Bang for all the evil it's caused in the world.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
No, fucking idiots!
Hey, now, there is definitely no need for that kind of personal attack.
Yes, there is, because I did not become a lawyer to deal with people like you. You're a terrible excuse for a lawyer. You're manipulative, conniving, devious.
Sounds like exactly what you want from a lawyer, eh?
And through all of this, you've been laughing at us, making your little jokes and jabs. Miss Anderson! What? Do you say objection before I rip your smug little head off?
Just calm down.
No, I did not become a lawyer to deal with weird, smarmy gits like you, weird mental cases like him, and a judge who is so far past it, she can't even see when you're all spouting utter bullshit.
Order! There will be order in my court! I did not become a judge to be insulted by jumped-up lawyers like you who think that just because they've spent all of 5 minutes in the real world, they know all there is to know about the criminal justice system. I could have retired, you know. I could spend my days watching the Great British Bake Off on my massive plasma screen. Speaking with my incredibly attractive husband, who, by the way, is also a brain surgeon. But I do not, and do you know why?
No.
That was meant to be a rhetorical question.
What is a rhetorical question?
It's because I like my job. I feel like I'm contributing in some way to progress and civilization. It's because I know I'm helping to keep criminals away from innocent citizens, and I'm helping to protect them from being unjustly incarcerated. But you know what?
What? Oh, no, sorry, that was a rhetorical question, wasn't it?
I'm done. I've had it. I don't have time for any of you or any of this.
You know, thinking about it, maybe they weren't even second terms.